Welcome to the Marketing Rocket Fuel Show. I'm Michael. This is Drew. Drew, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you today, Michael?
I'm doing well. Got my coffee next to me. Talking to a good friend about something we love. I couldn't be any better.
All right. Yeah, we talk about boy. That's a heck of a start to the show right here.
Take 45.
So we'll just keep that going. But starting the show with coffee is definitely our own version of rocket fuel. But this season, what are we talking about this season on Marketing Rocket Fuel, Michael?
We are talking about hidden costs. And when we were kicking around this idea, I was thinking about things with hidden costs. And one of the things that has a ton of hidden costs is home ownership.
Goodness, yes.
So we go from, being a kid, getting your first apartment, renting it, and then if something breaks, you just call the landlord.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I, we have this inside joke about if something breaks in our house now, I look at her and I say, it's time to call the landlord on that. And she looks at me and with this weird look, because guess who the landlord is? It's us. It's us, the homeowner. So what sort of things, home ownership wise, and we'll segue into other things with hidden costs, that sort of sparks a conversation about things that you don't expect to have a cost, but really do.
It's interesting. We live in the historic district in our neighborhood, and so our home is almost 100 years old. And so whenever you get into an historic home, you never know what you're going to find. I mean, just one day the floors could just drop out of the house, but normally that's not your big thing. But I know when we moved into our home, we were expecting to have to pay for some things, but then the heating element cracked in the furnace, and so we had to replace our HVAC in the house. And we didn't just replace one thing. Our entire heating and air system had been Frankenstein together. And so like the furnace was like a 1983 furnace. The air conditioner was like the mid 90s. And all of the ductwork was just like a spider web throughout the entire house. And so we ended up having to replace everything. We replaced all of the ducts. We got brand new furnace, brand new air conditioning. It's a multi-level home, so we had it upstairs and downstairs. And it ended up costing us somewhere around $17,000 to do all of that stuff. And that was a cost that we were not expecting. We were not anticipating. It was money well spent. It was definitely money well spent, but we didn't anticipate it. And that's where it came in and kind of bit us in the rear end.
Yeah. I mean, so switching from homes to like a sports analogy, if you talk to any sort of football player or athlete, the hit that you don't see coming is the one that hurts the most. Mm-hmm. The hits or the expenses that you see or anticipate, you can plan for those. It's the ones that you don't plan for that can really either cripple a business or just makes you really, really, really uncomfortable. But before we get into hitting costs of digital marketing and the different platforms in digital marketing, why are we doing this, Drew? Why are we sitting here in front of a microphone and talking about this?
It's interesting. I've been in marketing for a little bit over 25 years and started in the mid 90s. And I know.
So you started when you were 7? Is that what you're saying?
Something like that. Something like that. But we will not reveal my age, 50, on this program. But and Michael, I know you've been in marketing for a very long time as well. And one of the things that we run into, especially running an agency, is we talk to clients that don't necessarily have a realistic expectation on what they're going to spend on their marketing. And sometimes they get taken advantage of by companies because they don't know what they should be spending. And they end up overspending, or sometimes they buy things that they don't need, or sometimes they think they're getting a deal on something and then they realize, oh, wait, this wasn't as good of a deal as I thought it was because it cost me time and money and labor to actually make it happen. And so we wanted to start this season on Marketing Rocket Fuel to be able to educate people on what should you be spending on things, and if you do go with certain platforms, what can you realistically expect on that marketing? And in some cases, it'll be, is it better to just hire an agency to do something? Or is it better to do this yourself? And when is that? And that may be different for different types of businesses. And so we wanted to make sure that people have a realistic expectation on what their marketing expenses are going to be for the amount of money they're trying to get a return on.
Well, that's the why. Who, if you could pick one or two or maybe at the most three types of people that if they ran into this at some point, who would those people be? Like, we're going to be in people's ears as they're walking. We're going to be hopefully in people's cars as they're driving to work. Who are we trying to reach here? Who is our ideal person? Why that is going to get the most benefit out of this content?
Really, there's three types of people that I think will love this and really find some value in this content. First, if you're starting a business or maybe you're new in business, you may be a solopreneur, you may have an idea and you're just trying to figure out, okay, is this something that's going to work? And you haven't done marketing for your business in the past, you're going to really benefit from this program because it's going to help you understand where you should be spending money on marketing, where you should be doing things yourself, and where you should be hiring somebody else to do it, and when you're going to get value out of that. So that's the first type of person, is somebody new in their business, or maybe a small business that's just never done any marketing before. The second type of person is going to be a more established business owner, and these are really the clients that we tend to work with here at Escape Plan. These are the clients that are shooting for between $1 million and $20 million in sales annually. You've grown your business to the point where maybe you started it out of your garage or whatnot, but now you've got facilities and employees and customers, and you're making the widgets, and you've got all that going, but maybe your marketing has kind of fallen by the wayside, or you've had your hands in it the whole time, but now it's time to take your hands off of that, and you don't necessarily know what you don't know about doing that part of it. So that's the second type of person, that business owner that's been there for a while and is ready to really take their business up to that next level. And then the third type of person generally works for that number two person, and that's the marketing director at a mid-sized company. A lot of times, mid-sized companies will hire in one person to be in charge of the marketing, but they still need to outsource things. They still need to subscribe to software. They still need to get all of the stuff done because they're only one human. But they don't necessarily know where to find all of those things or what they should be spending on them. And so maybe they've got some ideas about the types of marketing that you want to do, but you're looking at this and saying, is this a good option for me to do? And how much is it realistically going to cost me to do that? So those marketing directors, that's that third type of person that's really going to benefit from Marketing Rocket Fuel.
Fantastic. So this is episode 1 of hopefully a few. We know that the getting this type of programming and content off the ground is the first struggle, right? So, but we do want to set the stage on this first season, this first series of shows, and we're really going to be focused on, as we alluded to at the start, hidden costs. We talked about the hidden costs of home ownership. There's probably going to be hidden costs in owning a car. There's going to be hidden costs in running a business.
Mhm.
Let's start to drill down a little bit about what sort of topics or platforms we're going to drill down and talk about hidden costs with regards to digital marketing. What are we going to be focused on this season, Drew?
That's a great question. So we're going to be looking at some things like some of the platforms that you've seen advertised, maybe during your Sunday afternoon sports programs, um, such as maybe Wix and Squarespace. For do-it-yourself website builders. We're going to be looking at some e-commerce platforms like Shopify. Um, and they have set fees for those platforms, but understanding what the real cost of actually doing that business is, what you're really going to have to do to make it a successful business. We're going to be looking at the cost of social media. Everybody says, okay, social media is free, we can do social media, but really, if you think about all of the things that you have to do to make your social media great, and especially today with video emerging as such an important part of your social media program, you've got to understand, what does it cost to do a video? What's involved with time, and what's involved with are you going to pay a videographer, or are you going to try to do it in house? And so you just knowing what's involved with that kind of marketing, and that's going to help you do a better job when you need to outsource that, hiring the right company to do it, or when you need to do it yourself, or maybe it's a combination of things. And so those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about this season. We'll be talking about some things like, why do websites cost so much to develop? Because Sunday afternoon football says I can build my website for $25 a month. Well, what's that $25 a month website going to look like, and what's a real business website look like, and what's the difference? Because a lot of people don't necessarily understand the difference between those unless you've been in this industry. And then one of the things that I'm really looking forward to, and I think this will have a lot of value for people, is how CEOs like you and me, how we sabotage our own businesses, how we get in the way, and what is the CEO bottleneck. And so I'm not going to say anything more about that, but that's an episode that I'm really excited about doing, because I think we both experienced that, both with our own businesses and with our with our clients, sometimes getting in the way of their own success.
Absolutely. So I will add one more thing before we move on to the next segment. A lot of the way that I want to frame our conversations, and this is a different mindset, and this may not be new to somebody listening to this, but it's certainly easy to forget that there is certainly a difference between cost and price. The
Right.
price of a platform, the price of a website, the price of a car or a home is one thing. The cost of something, which I attribute to impact, can be a totally different thing, and that's really something I'm excited about drilling down and unpacking for anybody that's listening to this or watching this. So, any other thoughts about hidden costs? We ready to look forward to the next couple episodes, Drew?
I'm really excited about this season here on Marketing Rocket Fuel. And like you said, we are just starting this podcast, and so you'll when you're starting a new YouTube channel, you've got absolutely 0 subscribers. So it would help us out if you start finding this content valuable. Give us a like, thumbs up, and subscribe. Make sure that that you're hitting that notification bell so that you don't miss an episode. We'll be putting these out every few weeks, And so we want to make sure that we have a shot at to kind of climbing up that YouTube algorithm, as everybody says. And you, if you watch these videos all the way through, that helps us out a lot. But if you just find little snippets there, be sure to comment on what's meaningful to you, and let us know if something's not helpful to you, or if maybe you have some other thoughts on it, because we want to provide content that's valuable to you. And that's really the most important part of this, is we want to make sure that we're providing value for those three people that we mentioned earlier.
So speaking of value, I do want in each episode, we are going to be talking about some large, high-level concepts, but I do want to leave an actionable tip that somebody can do today. And in this first episode, this first show, that one tip is, folks, if you haven't already done a marketing audit, do one. And it does not have to be this fancy spreadsheet. It does not have to be some tool that you find. It could just be a matter of taking a piece of paper and writing down what exactly is going on with your digital marketing. Do you have a website? Where is it housed? Where is your domain housed? You would not believe how many clients I've run into when they're like, okay, cool, we want you to build a new website. I'm like, fantastic. Who's your registrar for your web domain? They're like,
what's a registrar?
What do you mean?
Things like that.
Who handles your email? What do you mean? These are things that you need to be able to pull up instantly and know, because guess what? Even the great Google, several years ago, they did not renew the registrar, and somebody else
remember when that happened,
scooped up google.com. And that's just, it's a nightmare. When my agency was up and running, we'd have clients, it would probably happen once a month. My website's down. That's your fault. I'm like, oh, is it? Let's take a look. And we go to GoDaddy or hover.com or whoever, and they're like, oh yeah, they forgot to pay the bill. They forgot to pay the light bill. So a couple things: marketing audit, website, email, just a matter of logins for all your social media. Who has control of your social media? Has the person left your company that actually has control of your website or your Facebook page?
I can't tell you how many times I've seen that happen.
It can be a nightmare, and it's a nightmare that you guys can wake up from and do something about today. So, right. Drew, does Escape Plan Marketing have any way that they could help people do a quick audit? Is there anything in the chamber ready to fire off?
Absolutely. I mean, whenever we sign on a new client, the first thing that we do is we give them a checklist. And that same checklist can work whether you hire us or not. But that checklist has, where is everything? What marketing do we currently have? How do I log into everything? And as a business owner, no matter who's doing your digital marketing for you, no matter who's managing your website or your social media, you need to have control of all of that information. You need to know what's being done, how to get into it, because if you've got a freelancer, for example, that's doing that work, they may be the greatest freelancer in the world, but what if they get hit by a bus? You need to know all of your logins. You need to know how to get to everything. If you're doing Google ads, you need to know how to access that account so that if something happens to that person, or if you just need some accountability in there, you've got access to all of that. You need all of that information. And so if you reach out at escapeplanmarketing.com, if you reach out to us and say, yes, I'd like to talk to you about a marketing audit, we'll give you that checklist absolutely free if you just schedule a 30-minute Zoom call with me. And I'm still very hands-on with our business. And so you'll get to talk to the CEO right there.
Fantastic. All right. I think that's it for the first show.
Wow, we're going to put
Any
this
and
thing in the can, huh?
how any closing thoughts before we let these folks go?
Thanks for tuning in. If you watched this far, hopefully that means that you're finding some value in this content. We're really excited about what we're going to be able to bring you this season here on Marketing Rocket Fuel. So again, be sure and like and subscribe and comment to let us know what you think.
All right. Thanks, folks. Thanks, Drew. Always good seeing you.
Thanks, Michael. Have an awesome day.
You too.